Hi, friends. It's Rabbi Greg, and I am here to give the Devar Torah, our teaching about Parshat Emor. Well, I am going to be sharing two lessons from my Pilates class today that are strangely related to this week's portion from Leviticus. And you may find this surprising because Amor is one of those parshiot that is full of rules and regulations. Many of them concern the priesthood and sacrifices. And since we have not had a temple sacrifice for 1956 years, how can we possibly relate to them? Well, let me tell you the story. In Pilates today, I totally pooped out when we were doing planks. Now, plank is an exercise where you're basically holding a position like the top of a push-up. And you hold that for a while, then they rest. Then you do it again, and they add in various additions, like moving your feet from side to side. Well, I couldn't do the last exercise. And after a few seconds, my shoulder was starting to complain, and I had to stop to catch my breath. And as we moved on to the next exercise, the instructor praised everyone for doing it, for persevering and for getting it done. Well, when I was younger, this voice of my inner, um, well, but I didn't get it done, a small voice inside my head said. I didn't get it done. I stopped. And when I was younger, this voice of my inner critic would have been shouting, and my inner perfectionist would have been mad at myself. And I would have fumed all day for this fake, what I would have thought of as fake praise from the instructor. Well, this kind of black and white thinking is all over Parshat Emor. It's all about precision, what the priest can or can't do, exactly when the holidays are, and detailed rules um, for making sacrifices and harvesting the field. And my younger perfectionist would have felt right at home with all these rules and restrictions. For example, a priest can't be near a dead body, can't marry a former prostitute or divorced woman, and can't offer sacrifices to God if he had any kind of physical imperfection. And I have to say, the text here is very cringy as it goes on saying the priest can't be blind or have a boil or a limb that's too long. I won't read the whole thing because here I just think the theology was wrong. I think it was human prejudice that put all of these barriers to people with physical disabilities from offering these sacrifices. But in our world today, we are well aware of this kind of ableist or other prejudicial notions that prevent qualified people from getting a job or even being accepted. And I'm so pleased this is not how we roll at B'nai Torah. But today, I heard an echo of my own self-criticism for not being perfect in Pilates class. That echo wanted clear boundaries. I either persevered, or I was a quitter, or I was soft. Well, let me say, never tell a Gen X dude that he is soft. Them's fighting words. But, our reality is too complex for these simple red and green categories. And today, I worked as hard as I could. And I did persevere, and I did as much as I could. And yes, I earned the praise from the instructor like everyone else. Well, as I was leaving, my instructor was talking to someone else. And she said, I'm turning 40 in August. And she said it in a familiar mix of dread, resignation, and maybe a bit of exasperation. Well, I get it. I'm turning 60 in December, and honestly, I'm not particularly happy about it. She went on, my friend said, don't worry, 40 is the new 20. And she said, but they used to say 30 is the new 20. Well, the meaning is clear. Youth is everything. We should be aspiring to be 20 no matter how old we are. But no matter how many days a week I were to go to Pilates class, my body will not return to its 20-year-old state. And I'm okay with that. I have to be okay with it because I have no choice about it. And honestly, I would not want to be 20 again. My brain was not fully developed and my body was raging with hormones. This veneration of youth in our culture is neither healthy nor helpful. And the wish to remain young is a cousin of that kind of perfectionism that we've been talking about. It would be far more productive for me to focus on what I have to be grateful for and what opportunities I have today. For example, if I go to Pilates class regularly, I will get stronger and I will be in better shape. And if I push too hard, I risk injury. That's the reality, and I'm okay with that. I'll close with some interesting teachings about aging that I came across today as I was thinking about this issue of getting older. Um, I discovered that Abraham is the first old person in the Torah. As it says in Chayei Sarah, Abraham was of an advanced age. Well, in the Midrash, they tell this story of how Abraham grew old. Until Abraham, there was no old age, so that one who wished to speak with Abraham might mistakenly find themselves speaking with Isaac, who was Abraham's son, or one who wished to speak with Isaac might mistakenly find themselves speaking with Abraham. So I'll stop quoting the Midrash for a minute. Just as an aside, I find this totally believable. There was a picture of my father holding me as a baby, and my adult daughter mistook it for me holding her as a baby. Well, if everyone walked around as a 25 or 30-year-old, it would be really hard to tell some relatives apart. So back to the Midrash. When Abraham came, he pleaded for old age, saying, Divine One, you must make a visible difference between a parent and child, between a youth and an old man, so that the old may be honored by the youth. The next morning, Abraham saw that the hair on his head and of his beard had turned white. And he said, Divine One, if you have given me white hair as a sign of old age, I do not find it attractive. On the contrary, the divine replied, the gray head is a crown of glory. It is attained by righteousness, which is actually a direct quote from Proverbs 16:31. Well, in all honesty, I'm not crazy about my gray hair either. And I'm not very consoled by the idea that it is a crown of glory. But the text reminds me that our people, probably all people, have wrestled with this reality of aging. We'll close with the words of Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi. Then what are elders? They are wisdom keepers. They are pioneers in consciousness, serving as mentors. They passed on the distilled essence of their life experience. May we all find opportunities to pass on our life experience, whatever our age may be, and to dwell in the now and not in the past. Well, if you have been watching this recording, thank you so much. Please give the recording a like. Please share it with other people so they might like it as well. And if you would like to join our Zoom Shabbat service, please head by to b'naitorahcolorado.com and get on our email list. And right now, we're going to stop the recording and we're going to have a discussion amongst the community. Thanks for watching.